Hey everyone, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of Kurt on Cougs. Today we are doing a preview of the week for BYU women's basketball. And quick note, men's basketball unfortunately lost their game yesterday. A 5-pointer, close most of the way against Texas Tech. We're not going to go too much into that one. We'll be doing that on Saturday. But, alright, back to the present. BYU women's basketball this week is preparing it for two very different games. Both are at home. One against a team at the bottom of the conference, one against a team that's arguably the best in the conference. And those teams are Houston and then Kansas State. And so starting off with Houston. Houston is a team that has really struggled this year. Only 4 wins so far. Taking looks at those wins, nothing super impressive. Wins against teams like Southeast Louisiana, Mississippi Valley State, Alcorn State, just a whole bunch of small teams so far. Houston Christian, I believe, is the 4th of those. And so this is a team that has struggled a lot, especially on offense. They don't score a bunch. And they also have an 0-3 record in conference. So this is a really good chance for the Cougs to get in the win column. It's been a tough conference season so far for them. And so very important to get this win tonight. This is one I'm pretty optimistic about. I think the Cougars will get it. They're at home. The Houston Cougars, one of the bottom teams in the conference. This is a game you should win. And then Saturday's game is going to be really tough. Against Kansas State. Kansas State coming into this one 15-1. Well, of course, I think they probably have a game tonight, so that'll be updated. They come into this week 15-1, just rolling. Haven't lost a game in conference play yet, and their only loss on the season was against Duke. So this team is really, really good and just all around very talented. And so I think it's going to be a tough matchup for the Cougs to come out of with a win. But it's at home. And one thing I liked about this BYU team is even when they have struggled, they have shown the capability to be able to hang in there with bigger, tougher teams. A great example would be at West Virginia. In that road game, they were able to keep things pretty close with the number 18 team in the nation most of the way. So, that's what gives me optimism. And so, overall the outlook, one almost guaranteed win, I would say, and then one very, very likely loss. And so, overall, I think the expectation for most people for this week would probably be 1-1. And in my opinion, that wouldn't be too bad. That would be pretty good. I don't know, it's kind of crazy because you have 1-1, and then on either side of it, 0-2, which would be terrible, awful. It would mean starting conference play 0-5, and then 2-0, which would be amazing, awesome. An upset over a top 15 team in there. So, so excited to see what happens in these games, and of course, also what does this mean for the Cougs going forward? Well, for one thing, if they do want to end up making the NCAA tournament, going 2-0 this week would be a big step. Honestly, with the way things are looking this season, NCAA tournament isn't looking crazy realistic as a goal. And one thing you can attribute that to is this team is very young. They will be returning a lot of talent next year. Players like Amari Whiting, as well as Gibb, Cannon, Barber. Lots of talent coming back next year, so definitely a team that's building up, and even if it's not this year, I think that this team that we have here within the next couple of years is going to go to an NCAA tournament. And so important, I think, to set yourselves up well to go to a postseason tournament this year and have success there. That'd be good, valuable experience that will pay pay big dividends in the future. So that's going to be really important, as well as if the Cougars can go 1-1 this week, and then next week looks pretty manageable, honestly. With their games against Texas Tech and Iowa State. I don't know, I was kind of scouting out the schedule ahead. I'm not sure I think those. I know those are two of the next 3 games at least. I'm not sure if there's a third one I'm mixing in there. Overall, next week looks pretty manageable. So if they can go 2-2 between this week and next week, or probably 3-1, they can climb at least into the top 10 in the conference, which puts them in a better place seeding wise for the Big 12 tournament at the end of the season. So I guess that's one fun thing with now that we are in conference play, thinking about seeding, who the Cougars will be playing in the tournament. And so, yeah, very important games this week. And here are my deciding factors. Number 1, I think the Cougs need to go to one of their strengths, in my opinion, which is their game down low, points in the paint. They really need to hit it hard in the paint, have success there. If they can do that, they can win a whole lot of their games. And then number 2, just avoid turnovers. That was really what sunk the Cougars against West Virginia. They had 31 of those. So just holding on to the ball, making good, steady plays. If the Cougars do that, then I see them having a chance in both of these games this week. I feel like even against Kansas State, even with how good they are, I feel like if you're not giving the other team too many extra chances, I feel like you can hang in there with anyone. Like, just play a clean, solid game, and I think the Cougars should be able to hang in there. And so those are my deciding factors for this week. Now for my predictions. First of all, I am predicting that BYU will have a scorer over 25 points. I believe this is something that has happened only once or twice earlier in the season. But I think one of BYU's stars, whether that be Calvert, Whiting, Gibb, someone's going to step up and get a game over 25 points. And then my prediction for these games, tonight's game, I am predicting that BYU will beat Houston. I say they do so decently, handily, something like 73-60. And then on Saturday against Kansas State, once again, I think the Cougars can hang in there in this one. But Kansas State, really, really solid team. I think they pull away. And the end score is not as close as this game is all throughout. Something like 82-67. So those are my predictions for this week. I think the Cougars go 1-1. And yeah, let's go Cougs.